Did you know that India was once home to some of the world's greatest universities, attracting students from across the globe? Imagine an education system so powerful that it shaped the minds of legendary scholars like Chanakya and Panini. And what if I told you that this system focused not just on academics but on holistic growth, mental, physical, and spiritual? Welcome to my channel. Let's embark today on a journey to uncover the brilliance of ancient Indian education and see what we can learn from it. India has long been a land of wonders, and its education system was no exception. In ancient times, scholars from across the world traveled here, not just to marvel at its riches, but to soak in its vast knowledge. Unlike today's race for degrees, education back then was a holistic experience, one that shaped not just the mind but also the character of the students. Let's go back in time to see what made ancient Indian education truly unique. In ancient India, two prominent education systems flourished: the Vedic system, where Sanskrit was the primary language, and the Buddhist system, which used Pali. The Vedic education focused on the studies of scriptures like Vedas, Upanishads, and all the Dharam Shastras, while Buddhist institutions emphasized philosophy, ethics, and debates. One interesting aspect here, memorization was the key. Imagine having to recall entire books. Ancient students had no choice but to sharpen their memory skills, something modern students might envy while cramming for the exams. More than just knowledge, unlike today's get good marks and get a job approach, education in ancient India had a much deeper purpose. It focused on building character, nurturing discipline, and instilling humility. The goal was to prepare students to navigate life's challenges with wisdom and integrity. Practical knowledge was given priority, ensuring that students didn't just know things but could actually apply them. Students were trained to be independent thinkers, problem solvers, and responsible citizens who could contribute to the society. Education was considered so sacred that students lived with their gurus, learning everything from philosophy to household work. In ancient India, students didn't just attend school, they lived there. The Gurukul system was heart of education, where students left their homes and resided with their teachers in the forest or hermitages. The idea? It was to learn in a distraction-free, peaceful environment. No smartphones, no social media, just pure learning. The teachers weren't just educators, they were mentors, guides, and sometimes even strict taskmasters. The student guru relationship was so strong that even kings would bow to their teachers. Imagine a modern day politician doing the same. A personal and deep bond existed between the guru and shishya, where education was imparted with individual attention. The teachers in those times had complete autonomy in all aspects, from selection of students to designing their syllabi. When the teacher was satisfied with the performance of the students, the course concluded. During the ancient period, the state government and the people did not interfere in designing curriculum or payment of fees or regulation of teaching hours. Kings and patrons donated generously, but the curriculum was designed independently by teachers. The Rigveda mentions female poets such as Lopamudra and Ghosha. By 800 BCE, women like Gargi and Maitreyi were noted as scholars in the Upanishads. Maya, the mother of the historical Buddha, was an educated queen. Among the composers of Sangam literature, 154 were women. However, despite these contributions, education and the society of the era continued to be dominated by educated male population. The curriculum was a mix of science, philosophy, and martial arts. The curriculum was surprisingly diverse. They studied Vedas and Upanishads, which are spiritual texts, logic and philosophy, mathematics and astronomy, planetary movements, because even ancient scholars knew the importance of numbers. Then they learned politics and economics, which was called Arthashastra. It was the ancient MBA. Arts and language, music, painting, Sanskrit grammar, medicine, that is Ayurveda, which is still in practice today. Martial arts, archery, because self-defense was as crucial as self-awareness. Even physical education, it played an essential role. Students engaged in yoga, sports, proving that staying fit was always in trend. Since paper and printing weren't around, students relied on oral learning. So the learning techniques were as follows. Majority of it was memorization. Students recited scriptures daily until they became second nature. Debates and discussions. Arguing wasn't frowned upon, it was encouraged. Scholars sharpened their intellect by challenging each other. Another method used was storytelling. Teachers made learning engaging by weaving lessons into stories, a practice still popular today. Then there was a lot of observation and practice. Learning was hands-on, whether it's medicine, philosophy, or warfare. Not only did India have an education system, but it also had some of the earliest universities in the world. One is Takshashila. Students from across Asia traveled here to learn subjects ranging from law, medicine, astronomy, politics. Even Chanakya, the mastermind behind the Mauryan Empire, had studied here. It was a famous center of learning, including religion and teaching of Buddhism in ancient times. It was famous for the higher education, compromising of subjects like ancient scriptures, law, medicine, sociology, astronomy, military science. The well-known scholars from universities were great grammarian Panini. He was an expert in his subject of grammar, and Chanakya, who was skilled in statecraft. Students from different countries flocked into the university despite a long, difficult journey. Takshashila was an ancient city. Currently, it is situated in northwestern Pakistan. It was the well-known center of learning, and now it has been declared as an archaeological site and World Heritage by the UNESCO. The second university I'm going to talk about is Nalanda, one of the greatest centers of Buddhist learning. Nalanda was home to thousands of students and teachers offering subjects, again, mathematics, philosophy, medicine, the whole works. Students came here too from different parts of the country and the world to study here. Nalanda, currently situated in Bihar, was also declared as a World Heritage Site by UNESCO. There were many more famous institutes during those ancient times. Like every system, the ancient Indian education model had its strength and weaknesses. The advantages were: 1. It focused on holistic development, mind, body, and soul. Secondly, it emphasized on practical knowledge rather than just learning. It encouraged deep teacher-student relationships. Education was not at all commercially driven, and learning was valued above than wealth. Education was provided in natural environments, fostering peace and concentration. And now let's look at the challenges and the disadvantages of those times. One was caste discrimination. Access to education was restricted, making learning a privilege for certain classes. And there was gender bias. While some women did receive education, it was not at all widespread. And yes, memorization was too heavy. Without written records, students relied purely on memory, which had its own limitations. So, while the ancient education system had its flaw, it also had some brilliant elements that we can learn from today. Can we bring back some of the elements of this ancient system into today's education? Absolutely. A Guru Shishya approach can help students get individual attention. Character building. Schools should focus on ethics, discipline, and holistic growth. More emphasis on real world skills instead of just theory in subjects. These are principles that modern education can definitely borrow. Maybe we won't go back to studying under trees, but a bit of that ancient wisdom could surely help our education system today. So, what do you think about the Gurukul way of learning? Would you trade your school days for life in an ashram? Let me know in the comments below. See you in my next video.